Hello everybody and welcome to a very exciting Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport update. Today is the first day of a special model here that I have been waiting to get in here ever since the beginning of these airport updates. And we also see a whole bunch of international stuff today. The time frame for this airport update is 5:30 on the 11th of November of 2023. And that is also why it is sunset out here. Yes, it's only 5:30, but it's practically dark at this time here in real life. So that's what's going on here today. So we'll get our airport updates right here, where we have this Delta Connection CRJ900. That's to the bottom left of your screen, the Shapeways Custom right there, operated by Endeavor Air. This one arrived in from St. Louis, Missouri, and it will be heading out to Des Moines, Iowa. Next to that one here, we have this American Eagle CRJ700, but this is operated by SkyWest, but for Delta. And we saw this in the last update as well. This is kind of an interesting thing that SkyWest is doing with this CRJ700, which is painted in the American Eagle livery, but operating for Delta's Delta Connection routes. This one arrived in from Brainerd, Minnesota, and it'll be heading out to Rhinelander, Wisconsin. And now continuing on with our Delta Connection aircraft right here, we have to the left of your screen there the Comair 30 Years of Flight CRJ900, operated by SkyWest. This one arrived in from Rapid City and will be heading out to Fort Wayne, Indiana. In the middle here, we have another CRJ 900 here, operated by SkyWest. Or sorry, this one operated by Endeavor. Although they're both Comair, both of these are Comair registered, but operating for different airlines, so that's a little bit interesting. Maybe more realistically, they should be switched because this Gemini one is a SkyWest registered aircraft, but this one arrived in from Kansas City, MCI, and it'll be heading out to the Cleveland Hopkins Airport. It'll be staying overnight and then heading out to Cleveland in the morning. And then finally here, we have this CRJ 700 right here, SkyWest House livery, and this one arrived in from Williston, and it'll be heading out to Bemidji. So yeah, not a whole lot of Delta Connection proper CRJ 700s that are flying in here. They're mostly, actually pretty much all of them are in the SkyWest House livery or the random American Eagle one that are operating these routes. So it's kind of weird because I do have a Delta Connection CRJ 700 model, but it isn't really able to be used here, which is a little bit weird, but it's just kind of an interesting situation what's going on here in ISP right now. But I guess maybe once Delta gets more of their stuff ironed out with the CRJ 700 after the CRJ 200 retirement, then maybe they'll solve it a little bit more, and we'll get some regular Delta Connection CRJ 700s in here. But for now, this is what we have at MSP. But I think that's pretty cool, honestly. And now here we have a Delta Connection CRJ 200. I know I just said that they retired these, and by all measures that they have, but here's a straggler, I guess. It might have been just stuck at International Falls, or actually it was stuck at MSP here, but it hadn't flown until November 11th, and it made a round trip to International Falls. So maybe they just ran out of planes or something, and they needed this one just to step into the role. But really weird that this did this flight right here. So it was on the CRJ 200, and it flew out to International Falls, and it flew back, and then nothing else. Parked here in the B concourse, which is normally where the CRJ 200s go to die. Pretty much where any plane goes to die, or at least goes to sit around for a whole while. So that is what this aircraft is doing. Currently no flights out for this aircraft, but I assume that might be its last flight. Maybe. Well, we'll see what's going to happen with the CRJ 200. I'll hope to visit MSP at some point soon. I'm not really sure when that will be. But if I can see if there are any CRJ 200s left, I will definitely check that out. I was not able to see, check out the B concourse and everything last time I was at MSP. There are no videos of that out yet, but whenever my Chicago trip reports come out, I guess it doesn't really matter since I wasn't able to see that part of the airport. But maybe if I can get out to the airport at some point, I'll be sure to check out the regional section, see if I can see any straggling CRJ 200s, but I'm guessing they're all going to be gone by any time I'll be able to get out there. But anyways, that's enough for these two concourses. Now we'll move on to the Packed C concourse and some special visitors. Well, not really special visitors, but some new arrivals. And now first up here we have this Delta Connection E175, and this may not be the one that you were expecting. This is my Shapeways custom Delta Connection E175 right here. And yeah, this one arrived in from Toronto, operated by SkyWest, arrived in from Toronto. We'll be heading out to Great Falls. So, I mean, I guess this is not going to be the last airport this aircraft appears in. And there's reason for that. I know I said earlier that I would be recustomizing this into something else, but that'll be a different aircraft that I'll be recustomizing. This aircraft is here to stay, and you will see it at the next MSP airport update. So here it is in all its glory, and it's going to stick around, and I'll explain why in just a bit. And here are the two babies, the two new Delta Connection E175s right here. So great to have these, the newly released Gemini Jets Delta Connection Embraer E175. Been waiting for these for so long, and they're finally here, and I'm so excited to finally showcase these in an airport update. I mean, this is the most requested model for a long time, and Gemini Jets finally made it, and here they are in all their glory at MSP. So that's just beautiful scenes right here. That's all I can say. Beautiful scenes. So we'll be getting on the aircraft to the left right there, and that is, of course, as I said, the Delta Connection Embraer E175. And this one arrived in from New York, Newark, and it'll be heading out to Columbus, Ohio. That is operated by SkyWest. Then next to that one here we have, the exact same aircraft, Delta Connection E175. And this one arrived in from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And this one is actually going to be sticking around here for 2 days before heading out to Columbus. Also, as I'm recording this, the Columbus crew, MLS team, have been putting a beating on Atlanta, which I'm not too happy about. But if things go as they have gone so far, I guess congratulations to any fans out there in Columbus. Your MLS team is doing well, so good for you, but not for me. Anyways, I'm not going to let myself get sidetracked with MLS and all that. So great to have these two models in here. I mean, this is just the dream. Honestly, we have basically a complete RJ section. I don't know if Gemini just releases another CRJ 900 or something, I will buy that obviously. But I don't know if it's gonna get better than this. Maybe if I get another SkyWest House livery CRJ 700, but I mean, this is pretty much the ideal RJ section here at MSP. I don't know if I can get much better. So this is great to have. Beautiful scenes right here, and we still have one more Embraer to get to here, and actually another CRJ to get to as well, so we'll cut to those right away. And here we have our final two RJs right here. Just texting on the left of your screen here, we have the Delta E170 in the old livery, obviously filling in for an E175 operated by SkyWest. And this one is arriving in from Cedar Rapids, and it'll later be heading out to Oklahoma City. And then we also have the CRJ 900 right here, the other Shapeways custom CRJ 900, and this one is also operated by Endeavor, and this one arrived in from Wausau, Wisconsin, and then we'll later be making the flight out to Montreal, although it looks like that one diverted back to MSP, so we'll see what the status is on that aircraft, but looks like it just stayed over here and then headed out to Cincinnati, so too bad for the people trying to head out to Montreal on Delta. Not great situation right there, that one getting diverted back to MSP, but yeah, I guess that's what happens when you fly on a plastic plane. Anyways, reversing back to this E170 right here for Delta Connection, this aircraft is actually going to be one that I'm going to attempt to customize, I think. Now I'm going to see how feasible it will be, and if I have to, I will do the other one and keep this one in all its glory. But the reason I'm choosing this one is because this one is now inaccurate since this is in the old livery. But I'm gonna try to customize one of them into another aircraft, and you'll see that one eventually. But this is probably the last update that this old livery E170 is going to appear in. Of course, unless something goes wrong, in which cases we'll be back, and then I'll retire the other Shapeways custom one. But since that one is in the current livery, I'm gonna try to keep that one in these airport updates, just because I think it's a little more realistic, even though it doesn't have as much detail as this one. It's more realistic in terms of the livery, But I mean, honestly, if I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. If you'd rather have me keep the colors in motion in the airport updates, then I will do it, just because I mean I like both liveries, and even this is slightly more inaccurate. If you guys would like me to include this in the airport updates, I will go ahead and do that, because why not? It looks nice. You know it's going to be a long video when you're only through the RJ section and the video is already insert video length long. So it's gonna be a long one today, so strap in, everybody. Now moving into some Delta mainline stuff, we have this Delta A321 thank you livery right here. And this one is arriving in from Boston, and it will be heading out to Boise later. Next down here we have this 737-900, of course, for Delta. This one arrived in from Los Angeles, LAX, and it will be heading out to Fargo. So 2 aircraft coming in from some pretty big airports, then heading out to, I mean, Boise's a medium-sized airport, I guess. It's decently sized. I've been to Boise before. Fargo is not that big of an airport, though. Only 5 gates over there at Fargo, so quite the contrast for both of these aircraft from the airport which they arrived in from, and then the airport in which they're heading out to. So that's kind of fun. Our next aircraft here, now moving into the econ course, by the way, so we'll get a little break of the Delta action right here with this American 737-800, which arrived in from the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, and will be staying overnight, and it will be, after overnighting, it will be heading out to Chicago O'Hare. And our next aircraft here is this Delta A321, or not Delta, the American A321. This one is in the stand-up to cancer livery, and this one came in from Dallas-Fort Worth, DFW, and you'll be heading out there on the turnaround service. So I'm waiting for somebody to release an American A321 in the regular livery. This is just one of those models that I'm just hoping that someone will release, because I have the special livery and I use it all the time. I'd like a regular one because, I mean, clearly I would definitely get some use out of it, and it would go well alongside the special one, especially because I've had this model for a long time. But I don't really know if I want to go out and invest in like a used model and probably spend a whole bunch of money to try to get one. So hopefully I can get someone to release that one, but until then we get this lovely special livery in here. Our next aircraft here is this United A319, which is currently taxiing out for the flight out to San Francisco, and it also arrived in from there. So we're to see United on the A319 right here. This actual aircraft was in the Continental Globe livery, but honestly I wouldn't be surprised if it has been painted into the Evo Blue livery by now. They seem to be doing that pretty fast, because this is I recently flew on United to Chicago, and it was the second time that there was on jet photos it was a old livery United aircraft, and then the aircraft turned out to be in the Evo Blue livery. So clearly they're doing they're sneakily painting those pretty fast right here. So it's good to see. I mean, I like both liveries, so it'll be kind of sad to see the Continental Globe go, but I'm sure they'll still stick around for a while. But the Evo Blue is still a very nice livery, so glad to get this one in here. All right, another pair of aircraft right here, pair of Star Alliance aircraft. On the left of your screen there, we have the United E-175, operated by Republic. This one is in from New York, Newark, and it will be heading back out there. Turn around for this guy. And then next down here we have this second time I've done that in this airport, but this Air Canada CRJ900. At least Air Canada and Delta's liveries look similar, so I feel like I can get a pass for that one. This one arrived in from Toronto, and it was delayed, but is now finally pushing back for the service out to Toronto. And this one is actually came from Echo 3, which is behind the E-175 right there, but they had to tow it, they had to push it back and then tow it forward so they wouldn't like blast away the building when the engines started here. But yeah, this one operated by Jazz, but filling in for an E-175, as I do not have that model. It looks like they fly like a mix of CRJ900s and E-175s, mostly the E-175s, but we still have seen a few CRJ700s, or CRJ900s, jeez, CRJ900s now and again in here. So good to see that for Air Canada right here. And now over here at Foxtrot 1, we have this Delta 717-200. This one is in from Indianapolis, Indiana, and it'll be making the flight out to Memphis, Tennessee, former Northwest hub, and not really a former Delta hub, but cool airport out there in Memphis. Of course, it's bigger than what is utilized today, because it was supposed to be a Northwest hub. But of course, since they were acquired by Delta and Delta did not start a hub there, it's now mostly empty, which is too bad. But still a really cool airport, and miss the good old days of Northwest. I mean, it's great having this moonlighting, but sometimes these planes are really hard to see. Anyways, we have on the bottom, more of the foreground of the screen there, we have the Delta A321. This one arrived in from Denver and will be heading out to San Diego. Behind that one here, we have this Delta A220-100. This is flying in for an A220-300. Not really getting too many A220-100s, mostly the A220-300s these days, which it used to be the inverse of that, but now we see a lot more of those. So this one filling in, but it is operating a former A220-100 route. So kind of trying to justify using this aircraft in that case, but I might have to invest in another A220-300 here for Delta Airlines. Anyways, this aircraft arrived in from Chicago O'Hare, and it will be heading out to Santa Ana. Not good lighting at all on this United A320 right here. I mean, about the only thing that you can see well is the wing and the Lego brick that's holding it up. Anyways, this one arrived in from Denver and is now taxiing out for the service out to Chicago O'Hare. So back-to-back O'Hare flights, although on the Delta A220 it was coming in from O'Hare, and on this one it will be heading out to O'Hare. And here we have another Delta A220 right here. This one is the 300, and which is the appropriate aircraft. And this one arrived in from the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, and this one will be heading out to San Jose, California. Just landed here is this Delta A319, which has just arrived in from New Orleans. And this one will be staying overnight, and then it will be heading out to Chicago O'Hare. And this will not be the last New Orleans flight that we see here today. Before we move on to the heavies here, we'll get this Delta 737-900, which is currently taxiing in after arriving from Salt Lake City, and it will be later heading out to Portland PDX. And now moving in to the heavies here in the G concourse, we have the KLM A330 in the back there. This one is in from Amsterdam Schiphol, and it will be heading back out there. Turnaround for this aircraft. This is actually, I took some liberties on this one, so for full transparency, this flight was actually canceled, but I wanted to include it in this airport update just because KLM has now changed the time of their flights. They used to be arriving at like around 11 a.m. Now there's one that arrives in at like 3-something p.m., and then there's another on other dates that arrives in like 7, which is a big switch for this aircraft, or for this flight. Also, it's on the A330 now, which is also different because it used to be on the 787, so a whole lot has changed for this one. But that is good, I guess, because now we can use the A330 back in these MSP aircraft, because I had to use the 787 for a while, and now the A330 is back. So get a nice variety here of the KLM aircraft here in these updates. That is great to see. I mean, I think the 787 might be a little bit better in terms of it's a little bit more striking here, but variety is always nice, and now that I can use this A330 right here, it's what we'll have to see. So I guess you can't really see it very well, but still great to get KLM back in here on the A330. Anyways, the next aircraft here is this Delta A350-900, our biggest aircraft here into MSP, and it comes in from Seoul. Once daily service in from Seoul, we'll be heading back out to Seoul and Chun. And then here we have this Delta A330-900 Neo right here. This one is in from Amsterdam Schiphol as well. This one will be heading out to Tokyo Haneda though, and it will be staying overnight before heading out to Tokyo. So nice to get that one back in here. Also, this model is relatively new here. This is the regular delivery A330-900 Neo. I'm glad I don't have to use the Team USA one every single time. Similar situation to like the American A321. So hopefully I won't have to use Stamp to Cancer every single time I have to use an American A321. But this model is very nice right here. This is the Phoenix model and not the Gemini jets. So, I mean, honestly, they're both nice. So just go for whatever you prefer, honestly. But this model is very nice right here, and great to see it here doing the flight out to Tokyo. But that'll be tomorrow, coming in from Amsterdam. And oh boy, we're not done with Amsterdam yet. We have one more Amsterdam service right here, and this is on the A330-300. This one will be making the service out to Amsterdam, of course, and it also arrived in from there. So another Amsterdam turn here. I mean, I guess in real life there weren't two Amsterdam turns in I mean, they were scheduled to be 2, but of course one of them didn't happen, but still. A whole bunch of Amsterdam here, and it's a lovely city. I would love to visit Amsterdam at some point. I've visited the airport when I was 4, but I would love to actually visit the city of Amsterdam. And correction, I was 3 when I visited the airport, actually, so don't judge me for not remembering it. But yeah, I'd love to visit the city of Amsterdam. It looks lovely. I love bikes, and Amsterdam is a very bike-friendly city. So I'll definitely be itching to get out there at some point. I don't know when that will be, but next time I go out to Europe, I'm going to try to make a visit out to Amsterdam. And now moving along here, our next aircraft is this Delta A321 right here, and this one is in from Las Vegas, Harry Reid, and he'll be making the service out to Los Angeles LAX. And then back behind that, here we have a 757. It's been so long since we've used the 757s, but the 757s are back. Mostly the 757-300, so that's another model that I don't have to get now. We don't have a 757-300 yet, but this flight is actually not a 757-300. This is Delta A3. This is a Delta A3. A3. What am I saying? This is a Delta 757-200 right here. Our 1752 flight. This one is in from Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson, Citrus Aviation's airport, by the way, and you'll be heading back out to Atlanta. And here we see our 753 filler aircraft right here. This is the 757-200, of course, in the breast cancer awareness livery back in the old Colors in Motion days. But it is filling in for 757-300, and this one has arrived in from Phoenix Sky Harbor or Red River Aviation's airport, and this one will be making the flight out to Fort Myers, Southwest Florida International Airport. Very nice. And now we'll move on into our surprisingly empty Terminal 2. I know that's a surprise to hear because most of the time I pack Terminal 2 in these airport updates, but today it is fairly empty. Not a whole lot of places to go to here, but it's still one very cool one that we'll see. But this is the Southwest Airlines 737-700 arriving in from the Chicago Midway Airport, and they'll be heading out to Denver International Airport later today. Not one but 2 international flights at Terminal 2 today, beginning with the Icelandair 737 MAX 8 there. This one is in, of course, from the Reykjavik-Keflavik Airport, and it will be heading back out to Reykjavik later today. And then next to that one here, we also have the Sun Country 737-800 here in the Arial text font livery. Well, this is actually the Transavia hybrid livery, but the actual aircraft is in like the blue Arial text font livery. And this one is in from Cancun, and it will be heading out to San Francisco. Here is Prime Air on the 737-800 operated by Sun Country. This one is in from Cincinnati, and it will be heading out to San Bernardino, California. I'm going to try to spoil too much of what's to follow right here, but here we have this UPS 767-300 filling in for 757-200. This one is in from Louisville, and we'll be heading back out there. Turnaround for our UPS 763 filling in for 752. And then I'll try to get the best angle for this one, doing this handheld. But here is the United 777-300, of course. One of our highlights for this airport update here today. I mean, there were many, but this one might be the biggest one. And it is in for a charter, of course, a football charter. As what else? I mean, we've seen United wide bodies in here before, but not. I used a Darren model before for a UA 777. The actual aircraft was a 777-200, which I don't have a model. I have a Continental one, but I figured I'd use the better detailed Aviation 400 333 for this one before I can get. Since I'm hoping that I can get a UA 222 at some point, but for now we have this one. This one arrived in from New Orleans. This is the New Orleans flight that I hinted at earlier in the airport update. This one is carrying the New Orleans Saints as they played the Vikings, and I guess the Vikings won that one. I don't follow NFL or anything, but I heard the Vikings won, so that's good to hear. And then this one will be staying here, and then we'll be heading back out to New Orleans, carrying the team back out there, of course, on the 12th, and that's when the game happened and all that, because I'm recording this on the 12th. And the actual aircraft did not park here in the UPS side of the cargo apron. It actually parked like beyond the map right there, so into the abyss, but I wanted to include it right here, and here it is. So yeah, glad that we could include the United 333 in here, But that'll do it for our airport update today. So it definitely was a long one. So thank you for sticking with me through this airport update. It was still a very nice one to do right here. A whole bunch of exciting stuff happening here at the airport. A whole bunch of international flights, charters, even 75s. I mean, you can't beat that. So that'll do it for our MSP update today. I'm going to try to make the outro pretty short here because the rest of the video is quite long. So that'll do it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. As always, good night. Auf Wiedersehen.